So like I was just saying, if you have glaze on the bottom like that, you need to sponge it off because that glass would have just fused to the kiln shelf. So it's a good idea to have like a bucket of water over here, or just take it right over to the sink and sponge this off. Flynn's question, you could wax resist the bottoms of these, that works. However, what I don't like about that is oftentimes if there's a bunch of people over here glazing, they'll end up being little chunks of glaze on this table, and then you'll put this down and that wax resist, because it's a little bit sticky to like dry chunks, will pick up those dry chunks. So if you do decide to go that route, make sure you still do a little swipe of the waxed area. And if you don't this semester, we're buckling down. If you do not sponge off the bottoms of your pieces, they don't go in the kiln. They have to be sponged off. It's not, it ends up making loading like 2 hours longer to sponge off the bottoms. So sponge them off, because then they can just go right from cart to kiln, okay? Now on here, I could get even more wild. I have that iron underneath. I could even do, because that's gonna be really subtle, I could now do like another one where like that, where it's gonna be more intense. So, and all this is doing, if you have a line that's subtle like that and then a line that's more intense, it's gonna build visual depth. So think about like atmospheric perspective, the idea that things start out detailed in the foreground and become less detailed as the further away they get. That's same idea. You can build depth using that same sort of idea here. Okay. So those are just two examples of simple surface decoration. Other things you can do, and I'm not going to go any further with techniques than this today, are you can use, we have lots of tape, and you can start making sort of stencils. If you want to get really fancy with stencils, we have contact paper, which is the stuff that you line like kitchen cupboards with. It's just, you can cut out specific shapes, and then this peels off and you can use it as a sticker and use that as instead of wax resist, which I'm going to demo here quick. So if I like put a square right there, that would act the same as that wax resist, right? Because then I could just like pour glaze on here, and then after it sets up, I just pull that off and you have bare clay. Now, what if you wanted, you're like, oh, geez, Massaro and orange sherbet, those are hot together. Like maybe you want like all, Sebastian is really into the pumpkins right now. What if you had like something that's all orange, but you wanted like to do a jack-o'-lantern and have eyes? You could cut out the shape of those eyes, put it on here, put the orange sherbet on, and then take wax resist, go around the boundary that you need more of a visual.
So could you put, like, if you were doing that, could you like dunk it in the black glaze so it's all black, and then like stencil out the orange that you want, put the orange over it?
That's how I'm going to show you how to do that. Yeah, the answer is yes. But if you want to do it in like a really articulate way, this is how. So
would the wax resist change what the glaze looks like that's underneath it if you're doing like that in
it can. So like you're just saying just the wax in and of itself, like will it change the color?
Maybe, or like how it like fires or whatever. I don't know.
It can, yeah. And specifically the chino glaze right there, if you put wax resist on top of it and just fire it that way, it can leave stripes behind because of there's soda ash in here, and it does something in the drying process. Like, but most of these it just burns off. I should have stopped. So here's our jack-o'-lantern. Okay. Now I could dip this in the orange sherbet, and then before taking these off, just boldly brush